Hey guys, how's it going out there today? I hope all is well around the world, wherever you're checking in from. If you're new to the channel, thanks for dropping by. I appreciate it very much. If you're a repeat viewer, thank you for dropping by. I appreciate you very much too. In fact, anyone who's watching my content, thank you very much. Today's a special shoot. As you've seen from the title of this video, this is me thinking about whether this is going to be my first ever Air Jordan 1. Now that's shocking, strange, unusual. Here I am with my own sneaker channel and I've never, ever owned a pair of Air Jordan 1 sneakers. I know that's sacrilegious. I know I'm like dropping subscribers all over the place because people are like, that's impossible. But wait, it's not impossible. And if you've been an eagle-eyed viewer of my channel for a long time, you'll know that in the description down below is a video that explains why I had never owned a pair of Air Jordan sneakers, any Air Jordan sneakers at all, until the start of last year. And there's a particular reason why I haven't owned a pair of Air Jordan 1s yet. We started with the Bred 4s last year and then we're kind of growing out from there. But it's a European thing, it's a British thing. There's a whole lot of reasons to do with it. There's a government housing tied up in all that as well. But you know, if you want to know about that, check out that link down below and find out why it is that I had never owned a pair of Jordan sneakers. And based on all that, why it is that maybe, just maybe, this should be my first ever pair of Air Jordan 1s. Because I'm telling you, I'm going to make a decision about when to get Air Jordan 1s for the first time. It's not just going to be, oh, you know, try for every pair that comes along and just take whatever I get. It's got to be a specific pair. It's got to be something that grabs my attention. And this sneaker might just do that. So without further ado, let's get into what may be my first ever pair of Air Jordan 1s. This is the Talk About a 23 Sneaker channel. Talk About a 23 Sneaker channel des.毎日 absolutely no day. 毎日 media good aside. Every single day I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news and sneaker reviews. And today what we're looking at is a drop that's coming on July the 11th for the light smoke grey Air Jordan 1s, and why that might be the first pair of Jordan 1s I get my hands on. I mean, I might go for them and fail, so it might not be the first pair of shoes, Air Jordan 1s I get my hands on, or I might decide not to go for them. I'm a bit fussy about which shoes to go on, and if you've been watching my content for a long time, you'll know about these guys right here, the Varsity Royale 3s, which dropped just about a week or so ago, and I really wanted them. I was debating whether to get them, even though they have a Jumpman on the back instead of Nike Air. But I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to get them. I love my Fire Reds, which are almost identical, but they have that Nike Air on the back instead of the Jumpman, of course, red instead of blue. But I was still like, you know what? Yeah, I think I want them. And then when they came out here, they only went up to like size 29 centimeters, which is like a US 10.5 or something. And I wear a 12.5, so there's just no way I was squeezing my feet into them. But like I say, you know, it's a real particular thing when I'm pulling the trigger on shoes. I'm not a wealthy man. I have to decide which shoes I want to go after. And when I do, it's like, you know, okay, so something very special. And this right here might just be that first pair of Air Jordan 1s that I'll hopefully be able to get my hands on if I do decide to go and get them, because I do think they're a great looking shoe. I really do. And at first I was a bit sort of, you know, is that gimmicky what they've done there, where they split the shoe in half and the top half of the shoe has that, you know, bold red color on it and the bottom half is in that kind of neutral colors. But then when I had a really close look at it, I was like, you know what, that kind of gets me. And the reason that it gets me, the reason why I like it, isn't because of the big decisions that they made. And we'll look at those big decisions first. It was actually the small decisions that they made on this shoe, of course we'll look at that next, that really got me. The choices that they made in designing this shoe and the placement that they put certain things on this shoe is a big yes for me, and I'll be looking at that in a minute or two. But first, let's have a look at the bigger part of the shoe, the whole shoe in itself. And like I said, I already talked about that two-half effect where you've got the wings up high in that deep red, almost like a Chicago red, and then down low you've got more of a grey and a white sort of motif going on. Very similar to the Dior's Air Jordan 1s that have been raffling very recently. Tons of people, something like 5 million people signed up for the raffle on those Dior 1s. Myself, I didn't. I don't like the shoe, and I don't really want that to be my first Air Jordan 1, if you know what I'm saying. But the lower half of the shoe in that grey and that white has definite sort of echoes, at least, of that Dior shoe. But what it does have on it as well, it's really nice, is that the overlays, the higher part of the upper on it is in this nice lush grey, very light lush grey suede, which is a big plus. And then the lower part of the upper, the panels on the toe box and the midfoot, for example, they're in the white leather. So it's a great sort of they play off each other really nice, the white leather and the grey suede, and then the black swoosh on the side in suede as well is a big yes. So it's a really nice subtle shoe in the bigger sort of scheme of things when you look at the large placement of colours and of materials and stuff like that. But there are three things on this shoe that are tiny little details, and I think they did a good job on all three of them, and they could have mucked it up. They could have chosen the wrong things, and I would have been like, you know what, I don't agree with that. So we'll start with the biggest of the three, which is up there on the wings, where you've got the red, and then on top of that you've got that black wings logo. This is a big decision as far as I'm concerned, because they could have gone with any of four colours up there for that wings logo. Now if you think about it, it'll be up behind me here. Think about what it would have looked like if they'd gone with white, for example. If they say we've got that red backdrop, let's put white on that, kind of Chicago, or they could have said, you know what, let's take the light grey from the suede, pop that on there, that might work. But you know what, another option, it's red, why don't we go red on red? Something I'm not a huge fan of. I like the wings logo to pop, but sometimes they do go with the same colour for the background and for the wings logo. But what they actually did, as you can see here, on that red wing there, you've got the black wings logo. And I think that's a big choice, and I think it's a good choice. I think they were right to make that choice in there. And like I say, it's a choice. It's not like, I don't know, it's not predetermined or it's not random. It's like they would have worked this up in all four possible colorways, red on red, grey on red, white on red, and black on red, and chosen which one to go with. They chose black on red, and I think it's a great choice. And then the next thing that's smaller is a similar thing as you come onto the tongues with that Nike Air branding on there, and you can see it's the tongue itself is light, but then you've got the black panel with the red writing on it. And again, that's a choice. They could have gone with anything up there. They could have gone with the whole thing in all whites and grey, made it all light, or they could have gone with a red tag with black branding on there, for example. But the choice that they made, I think, really pops, and it really ties the shoe together, especially when that red is up high on the ankle, because that needs to be repeated in some other places, otherwise it sort of just hangs there on its own. But by having it repeated on the tongue here, on the tongue branding, even though it's a small tiny little detail, I think it's an important thing that ties the shoe together. And then the last place is a super tiny little place to look, and it's right on the back where the swooshes come around to the back of the Jordan on the heel. And this is Jordan 1s, highs, mids, lows, whatever. There's that tiny little panel there, a little rectangle that ties the swooshes together, or the two halves, the medial and the lateral coming together. And in the case of these guys here, they've gone with that red panel on there, which I think again is a really important choice. Again, if you think about it, right, let's try light grey. That's another colour in this shoe. Why don't we do that? Let's try black. Let's try white. Let's try red. Which of those four is really going to work with the sort of narrative of the shoe? And I think they've got it right with that little detail. And it's a tiny detail, really small detail. It's a bit like going down onto the midsole and the outsole with that, the white kind of midsole, and then you flip it into the much darker outsole. Again, it's a choice. They could have gone with anything down there. But I think they made the right choices on this shoe in all of those little details. And for me, that's really important. Especially, it's easy, I mean, if you're a regular viewer of my stuff, you'll know that I talk about gum soles a lot and how it has to match the shoe. Now, something came out recently and I was like, yes, that's what I'm talking about as far as the gum sole is concerned. This gum sole matches the rest of the shoe, and I can't for the life of me remember which shoe it was. But it's to me, it's really important. I think, actually, was it the K54-6s? Maybe it was the K54-6s with a gum sole that really matched the narrative of the rest of the shoe. And there wasn't a thing on those, on the K54-6s, that I thought everything was perfect. All the choices they made in that was perfect. And like I said earlier, I talked about the Animal Instinct 2.0s, and I'm like, ooh, that is a shoe that's got way too much going on. Yesterday, I think I talked about it in yesterday's video, and I was just like, there's too much hodgepodge in here, too much that doesn't fit together. So for me, it's really important that the whole shoe fits together in one big narrative, in one big story. And these guys, now that I look closer at them and I understand what's going on up high with that red ankle, especially when it's got that branding on the tongue and it's also got that hit on the heel, I'm kind of yes, and I'm thinking, you know what, I think these could be the first Air Jordan 1 for me. So, if you've checked out that video below, or if you already know my history of, growing up in a particularly poor area and kind of, loving sneakers my whole life, but never actually having the finances or the circumstances to be able to kind of get into them in a serious way, then, you'll understand why we've got to this point. Now, as far as why I've not got an Air Jordan 1 yet, the 4s were my favourite silhouette silhouette. When the Bread Force came along, I was like, yes, this will be my first Jordan sneaker. And I'd held off and not gone for other shoes before that. And then when the Fire Reds came out, I just loved that silhouette and I love that colour. So they're 4, 3. I've got my eye on a pair of 2s that I'm hoping will come to me someday. So we'll skip over that and then we come to 1s. And then after that, I'll probably go to 12s because 12s are my next favourite silhouette after 4s. But 3s are actually starting to take over all of those. The 3s are really growing on me as I get into checking out sneakers more and more and more. So that's the story behind the shoe. This is, hopefully you've got a better look at it if you didn't know more about it, or hopefully you understand why I'm thinking about making this my first Air Jordan 1 and why I've never had an Air Jordan 1 before. That's just where I am. We're all on a trajectory, we're all on a continuum, and people are at different places along it. Now some people, they stand up in front of a camera and behind them they don't have a green screen, they have a wall of sneakers. Maybe someday, but for now it's the green screen and little by little growing the collection. Maybe, just maybe, these shoes will be part of that. For now though, time for me to sign off and check out. This is Tuesday's video, I think, so we'll make sure we get that up and ready. I'm back to work on Wednesday, so hopefully I'll be able to keep the content coming in daily as I have done for the last almost a year and a half, year and 7 months. So fingers crossed that'll keep on happening. But for sure, I do this every single day, and that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.